First and foremost, I want to say good morning to everybody. This is technology. Anything can happen at any time. You have no absolute control over any of these things. So let me start with, let me record. I need to record to the cloud. Okay. First and foremost, I want to say good morning to everybody that has made it so far. Unfortunately, I can't go live because many people want to join me via Facebook Live, but unfortunately they cannot join us, and which is okay as well. I really wish that we went live for Facebook. But I want to say thank you so much, Ma, for coming on call today and for this session of speaking to entrepreneurs. Don't worry, the fact that it's not live on Facebook is live on YouTube, and it shall be broadcasted to everybody. You are muted, Ma. You're still muted. Okay, fantastic. So I'd like to say thank you so much again for coming. This is Mrs. Margaret Jackson. She's an IFC, World Bank, there, master trainer. You are muted, this mic button. Have you seen it? Okay, if you raise the bar, you will see the Zoom information. You're a panelist, so you should be able to unmute yourself. I can't unmute you, you muted yourself.
No, I have unmuted myself.
Okay, fantastic. Okay. So
I was saying it's always a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
I also love the idea of working with SMEs, so it's always a pleasure to speak with SMEs.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma. This is Mrs. Margaret Jackson. She is my mentor. She's one of the people that really gave life to Learntor today. So for free, I can tell you our training for not just me, for over 50 women entrepreneurs that Access Bank put together, supported by IFC, that's International Finance Corporation, and has set the tone for many of our businesses, because now we're building a structured business. But enough of me. I just want to say that for me, I'm very humbled that she's happy to interview herself, because there's so much confusion. Many of us don't know how to communicate with our clients, our team. So this is actually going to expose you to that ability to be able to interview those that matter, how to speak effectively, how to communicate effectively, because there's a difference between talking and communicating. So she will put all of that into context for us, and we'll be able to learn greatly from her. And so without further ado, Mrs. Margaret Jackson is an IFC, like I told you. She has over 25 years experience in senior management at every organization. She's trained a lot of SMEs. She's an IFC master trainer. She's a trainer. So she's not just a trainer, she's one of them that are so successful. And she's extremely good at what she does. She's an assessor as well. She has great marketing skills. She's an effective trainer. I can speak personally because I've experienced her training. And what else do I want to capture as well for Mrs. J? We call her Mrs. J, Monarch herself. So you're welcome to call her Monarch or Mrs. J. She doesn't mind. And she's one of my quotes for today is that the most important thing in communication is to hear what is not being said. And that's by Peter Drucker. So I will hand over to Mrs. J for her to take the session away and to speak to us with regards to how to speak, or importance or key factors to consider for communication. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mercy. You know, sometimes I'm like, when I call you Mercy, I'm like, is she Learntor or Mercy? Which one do you prefer?
Learntor, actually, I prefer Learntor. That's why, see, I'm wearing
it. Okay, thank you very much. I will go straight to the point. I'd like to share this with you. You know, I've been thinking, and I would like to give you a little background before I go into what I have here on the screen. I remember when we heard about COVID-19, it was around Christmas, and we all felt, oh, it was a virus that was affecting the Chinese. In actual fact, I didn't have any chat and with anybody about it. All we said was, oh, what's happening? And then in February, I was in UK. And before I left, it was already in the UK. And when I was running back to Ghana, I would say running back because we felt then that it was that time of the year when those in the Western world normally experience flu. And since we didn't have such issues, the heat would solve the problem for us. So I came back, but there's something that I normally do with my staff, and with what I'm going to talk to you about today, I will be using my organization. Since I'm also an SME, I'll be using my organization as an example. And normally, when we talk about communication as SMEs, we are thinking about our customers, we are thinking about our investors, we are thinking about those who lend to us, we are thinking about the regulatory authorities and stuff like that. But today, I want us to think about our internal customers. Because most of the time, as SMEs, we forget about our internal customers. But I always say that, yes, we need to sell to our external customers. But if we don't treat our internal customers well, we may not be able to produce the kind of quality goods that our external customers look for. So today, I'm not going to talk so much about the other stakeholders. I want us, as they say, charity begins at home. I want us to focus on our internal customers. They are so dear to me. They are close to my heart because I believe that it is teams that win. So at that time, when I got back, what did I do? I recognized that there was a situation. And I say when we are communicating with our staff, and I want to start with our staff, our internal customers, we should make sure that we speak to them in a way that they realize that we recognize the situation. When I got back, we held a meeting. We normally hold Monday morning meetings. And at the meeting, I said, there's a situation. I believe that is an European, and you won't believe it's problem, but it's definitely going to affect us because we have partners outside. And I had gone to the UK, I had gone into meetings with partners, and I'd gone for a conference as well. So I was like, so we need to strategize. This flu that's affecting them in the West, what is the impact? What impact is it going to have on our organization? Because we are also an SME. So what I say, the first step with this pandemic or any other crisis that we may find ourselves in is to, as employers, to recognize the situation and its impact on your organization. So we brainstormed and we said, what would the impact be on our organization? So we said, it means that any contract that we have with foreign partners will be postponed or cancelled. And yes, they were. So we were working with some development partners on certain projects, and all we heard was, hold on, we can't travel to Africa. And at that time, we still felt that it was a Western problem, not us. But we analyzed it and said, what's the impact on our company? You see, but this pandemic is such that you have to keep on analyzing the situation. Then it hit Africa, it hit Ghana, it hit us first. Because I came back to Ghana on 3rd March. The first case, I think, most of the cases were around 4th, 5th. So it means I was even fortunate. So when we recognize the situation, I will tell you step by step. When we recognize the situation and the impact, we said now it means that we have to concentrate on the businesses that we have in Africa and Ghana, because what's coming, the businesses we have with the development world is not going to happen. But you just don't recognize the situation and its impact. You also have to appreciate your staff. So when you are analyzing these things, you keep on saying, wow, I don't know what I would have done without you. You know, you are the face of the company. Now that we know that we cannot work with our development partners, anytime you speak with the partners locally, you know, treat them the same way. You are good. And thank you for understanding the situation. Let's appreciate them. You know what? We are scared as business owners. They are also scared. They are also scared. And they also have sleepless nights. Because when you listen to what's happening around the world and job cuts and stuff, and even aside job cuts, people are dying, they are scared. So they need you to appreciate them. They need you to reassure them. They need you to manage their expectations. You know, when we realized that we're not going to get the foreign contracts, I said, then it means that our revenue is going to drop. I told them, and they said, yes. You know, you don't, sometimes when you work with them as a team, you don't even need to tell them, because some of them started coming up with, do you know that, Mrs. J, our revenue is going to drop? It means that, Mrs. J, it means that we may not be able to go on the courses that we planned for this year. You know, they came up with, they even helped me to manage their expectations. And in all this, whilst you are going through ramp, and I call it ramp, because it is you recognize the situation and its impact, you appreciate your staff, you manage expectations, and you pledge to safety of your staff. So it's ramp, and it's fluid, you see. So it keeps on changing. So when you manage expectations, then you pledge to the safety. Let me give you an example. When we said that it was a Western Europe thing, and the first case hit in Ghana, we started working remotely. And I explained to them, I said, we run face-to-face workshops. We can't do that anymore. We can't. I care about you, and I don't want any of you to fall ill. When we run our face-to-face workshops, I'm a trainer for those of you who, you see, when we run the face-to-face workshops, we bring people from all over, and they sit round tables. And it's difficult to practice social distancing protocol. And we may take them to hotels. So as soon as it hit, you won't believe this, by the second week of March, we have started working remotely. And even then, we said personal protective gear is important. Why do I say it keeps on changing? You never stop communicating, and you never stop asking. You see, communication without feedback is no communication, because there can be noise. And in this situation, where does the noise come from? The noise comes from the fear, the emotion, the emotional, you know, the stress that people are going through. So if you don't ask for feedback, you may say something that may be misconstrued altogether by your staff. So you keep on going back. I'm leaving you with ramp, but you don't stop. You know, this virus keeps on changing, and even the scientists do not know much about it. We keep on hearing new things every day. So when we recognized that we're not going to hold the workshops, then there was another wave. We started working remotely. Then we recognized that this is not going to stop now. because as it increased, we realized and moved from nation to nation and from town to town. Our finance minister in Ghana mentioned that since independence, the economy of Ghana has not suffered as much as it's suffering now. Economies are shrinking. When we started and I asked my staff to work remotely, we didn't know that economies worldwide will shrink. So we had to go back and analyze the situation. So, we went back to say, okay, recognize the situation. What is it now? Economies are shrinking. When economies shrink, what happens to training, for example? People don't normally, they won't. It's the last thing on their minds. Oh yeah, it's the last thing on their minds. So if there's a lot, but still people need help. So what's the way to go? And you realize a lot of trainers are doing free webinars to help. It's a situation. The impact is that economies have shrunk. So nobody is going to pay for your service, but you need to stay relevant.
Exactly.
And you see, it's always said that a friend in need is a friend indeed. So we are saying that for us in our organization, we say a friend in need is a friend indeed. If we don't do this, when all this is over, don't you think that the clients will go to the people who supported them when they were in trouble?
Empathy.
Yes, they will. They will definitely go back to the people who helped them when they were in trouble. So I want my listeners to start thinking that, so now that we recognize the situation and we recognize that economies are shrinking, in my area, what can I do? Exactly. What can I do to ensure that, my clients do not forget me in a hurry? What can I do to ensure that my internal clients do not forget me in a hurry? You appreciate them. We are running free webinars, but I held a meeting with the staff. I said, we have to run free webinars. Nobody is going to pay us for it. I'm not going to sack anybody. This is not the time to sack anybody. That's how I look at it. So, but it's for free and nobody is going to pay us. But we should volunteer. So I saw the what's in it for them. I said, if we run the free webinars, you are all going to run the webinars and it's the time for you to build yourselves up. How many of you are willing to go on this journey where maybe 4 or 5 months down the line, we may not be able to pay you, but you may still be working? Because we keep on saying you are part of the team, you make this organization rock. I was amazed that they all said. So the time where we cannot pay ourselves anymore, they will still go on organizing the free webinars. So for me, our staff, our internal customers, they are just like us. All they need for us to do is to explain issues to them and to show them how much we appreciate them and to sell what's in it for them. Because now I'm telling them that maybe after June, I don't know what may happen, and we'll keep on analyzing the situation. We'll keep on going back to to analyze the situation. If there's no money in the coffers, we still want to do free webinars. Are you game? We will keep on revisiting and we'll keep on asking them for their feedback. And if you keep on asking for feedback, that's when you also get the chance to manage expectations. So at this time, because we all analyzed the situation, the M had been taken care of. Now my staff know in no uncertain terms, as at now, because the situation may change, that okay, now because as an organization, we always keep some money for a rainy day. We are now going to go into the rainy day staff money. But when it's exhausted, we may still work for nothing, but we'll be projecting ourselves. Whilst the lockdown has been lifted in Ghana now, but we are still working remotely because I've pledged the safety of my staff. And we've all gone digital. So to those of you listening to me, if you can go digital, if you can work around the system, if you can do deliveries instead of people coming to your shop. Let's think about it. Let's think of ways, or if you can buy personal protective gear equipment for your staff. You see, when they realize that we care, we are sending them a message. It is not what we say, but also what we do. For me, I think that we always spend a lot of time thinking about the other stakeholders. It is very good, but charity should begin from home.
Thank you so much, Ma. Okay, I'll take over the screen now so that, but let me just stop sharing. We can have a proper interview. Thank you so much for that. And maybe I'll just share a quick backstory just to motivate everyone, because people don't understand this is a time to make money. But if you're not strategic with what you're doing, it might kind of backfire for many businesses. So it's important how you're positioning yourself at this time. The watchword for any business owner, number one, should be empathy. Once you have empathy as your watchword, it changes your conversation.
Oh, yes.
It is this time I've signed 3 major clients. I wouldn't have signed them prior to now. Maybe I would have, maybe I don't know. But
no, Mercy, maybe you wouldn't have.
Maybe that's what I'm saying. Maybe I would have, maybe I wouldn't have.
No, maybe you wouldn't have. But the visibility now, and going live and doing these webinars, there's something I didn't tell you. Someone was on one of our webinars all the way from Haiti and started communicating with us to say, we need your services. Can you imagine? You see, exactly. They say out of sometimes evil cometh good, because we would have still stuck to Africa. But now we are being listened to all over the world, and people now, that's why I'm saying the organizations should always recognize the situation and its impact and quickly do something about it.
I totally agree with you, Ma. Another thing that I would like to say, which is equally as important that a lot of businesses need to consider in terms of communication, it has to start from introspecting your staff, because you did the first thing by having a conversation with your team. That takes the burden of you being responsible. So I'd like you to go into detail how you were able to get them to see the vision, because Africans is not our strongest suit to support one another. But if you're as transparent based on the pillar of Scrum with your staff, you're transparent and they see your sincerity, they will buy what you have to say. So if you can break it down, how did you start the conversation with your team for them to buy into what you wanted to do?
Mercy, I always tell you that, and I've always told those I have taught, that you've got to be transparent. I don't write the proposals in my office. I don't. I don't. So when there's a TOR, my staff writes the proposal. They know, and when we win it, they know how much comes in. So I can't tell them there's no money when they know there's money. And we hold our meetings to every Monday morning. We hold meetings, and we haven't even stopped. So we do this on Microsoft Teams now. We hold our meetings, and we run something in the office called project management. So there's one of our staff who would at Monday mornings capture the minutes. And if Mrs. J said, I was going to see the MD of this for this sort of thing, she would write to me. There's nothing like this is the boss. I say, if I haven't done my work, write to me and say, you were supposed to see ABCD on Monday, but we haven't heard anything. Could you please explain why we haven't heard from you? And I'm not upset, because at the end of the day, it is a business that we are running. It is so if, and I'd like to tell my fellow SME owners, if your staff know the amount of money that comes in, they trust you. They trust you. Yeah. Oh, they trust you. They trust you. They know the amount of money that comes in. We plan on how we are going to spend the money. And so in actual fact, and when the salary, our salaries, we have outsourced that to an accounting firm. But there's one person who keeps all the receipts, the invoices, so at least they know the total bill. And so they know what goes out, what comes in. And I say sometimes, I say this to SME owners, when you do that, it helps you check yourself. And you don't go dipping your hand into the kitty to say, after all, it is my money. No, it is not your money. And that's what I have done to help me keep my business going. So for me, the key thing, finances, if you open up your staff trust, and if you walk your talk.
And that's the pillar of Scrum. As an agile coach, it's one of the things. Before Corona came, I've always worked remotely. I mean, even when I won the Access Bank at the UB, I said to myself, mercy, forget it. I'm not going to have an office for the next 2 years because there's no point. I already understand what working remotely is, and it has saved my life in a lot of ways. So I totally agree with you in terms of transparency with your staff, with your team. If they understand what you're doing, they have a buy-in, they have a stake in it because they feel part of the system. So I would like you to speak because, you know, there are two types. There's listening and there's talking. How they say, you can be hearing someone talking, but you're not necessarily listening. How do you communicate? Because one of the things that I've seen African SMEs, at least those that I've been involved with, struggle with the most is how to communicate on a social platform to their clients. How do they show empathy? Our business is easy for me and you to organize webinars. Those in manufacturing, how do they organize webinars? How are they going to be able to show empathy to their client? I could, maybe when you respond, then I can share some ideas of what they need to look into and what they can do to stay relevant so that by the time this Corona is over, you have that interest sparking already with that company and they won't take their business anywhere. So how can other businesses that are not necessarily in the service industry, manufacturing, agriculture, whatever it is, how can they stay relevant during this pandemic? What strategies can they implement?
If you talk about communicating, and I say communicating effectively, is amazing, Mercy. The number of people who have started using social media now. You know, in Ghana, people say koro koro. You know, the way koro koro has forced people to go online. Interestingly enough, this morning, my husband was on WhatsApp. You won't believe this. I'm talking about WhatsApp. He gets a message on WhatsApp, and the guy says, "Oh, I listened to you. You spoke to us on youth and agriculture, and you inspired me so much. And because of that, look, I went and I did a poultry farm. Now he had a huge farm. And he showed it to him on WhatsApp. Then he said, "Oh, I'm so happy this boy listened to us." And sometimes when you talk at events, you think that people just listen to you. Then he said, "I'm going to put it on the various platforms that I have. And I'm going to encourage people to patronize his stuff." So you see, the fact that you are in manufacturing doesn't mean that you can't leverage the various Instagram. You can put stuff there. Even now, the old people are on Instagram. You won't believe it. As old as I am, I'm on Insta. What about your website? Driving traffic to your website. And in Africa, at least I know in Ghana and Nigeria, I know Ghana and Nigeria and Sierra Leone very well. You know, when you ask people about, "Oh, your website," they'll say, "Oh, we are now updating it. We are now working on it. We are now," and I'm like, no. What about writing on LinkedIn. Mercy, you won't believe it. But for Korokoro, we got a contract in South Africa to work in South Africa when the people did not know us. All they needed to say, respond to this TOR, let's see your tax clearance certificate. Let's see, they asked for certain things. We sent it to them. They were okay. LinkedIn. You don't need to be a service organization to be on LinkedIn. I see people publish all sorts of things, their farms, their wares, the things they manufacture. Even on WhatsApp, it's working. I'm on one group and I realize that people are posting the things they manufacture and we are all sharing them. If you're as old as I am, hey, my age group, we like WhatsApp. Find out what works for the people you want to talk to and use it. You don't need to be in the service industry to leverage technology. No. You start little by little. What's comfortable? I remember, Mercy, the first time I had to use WhatsApp, I was like, I looked at my phone. My children had traveled. Whenever I called them, they will cut me off and say, call us, WhatsApp. And I was like, what sort of stress is this? Now I'm happy. That stress led me from WhatsApp to Facebook, to Insta, to, LinkedIn. And some people, even on Twitter, these days, the things people are sharing on Twitter, choose one or two, the ones that will work for you. But you've got to engage. That's the thing. You see, Mercy, sometimes people post and they don't engage, they don't go back. Engagement is key. So maybe someone would have even sent you a message that I want to buy from you. You don't go back. How would you know?
Let me just quickly, because you're speaking to my area of expertise, yeah?
Yes. So I was wondering why you asked me.
No, but it's okay because at least you're more mature. Many people take digitalization as like a demon or whatever it is that they've seen. I want to say that I've done data analysis. I'll tell you to go on my YouTube. I'll probably share the link later. Watch some of the videos that I've analyzed. Hopefully will help you make informed decisions. Now, I'll say this, whether you're in any sector, communicating in an empathic way will win your client over. Number one, what kind of letter have you sent during this pandemic? We empathize with you. We know that as a result of this, it's affected your bottom line, and as a result, you might not have money. How can we help? What can we do? Start with that kind of just generic conversation and let it lead to something that you can possibly do for those businesses that you're working with. Say you are already in a delivery business. Okay, who can you partner with? This is the time a lot of all those malams that are idle are becoming delivery person. Yes, you collaborate.
Mercy, I know, but today I want us to talk about other stakeholders later. Today, I want you to drum it into the ears of our listeners that let's start looking at our internal customers too. Say this, but for me, I've realized that we are always talking about the external customers, What
Not
about
the internal?
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you an advice. One of my clients that I just...
I want them to talk about their internal customers.
One of my clients that I just signed up, I think I'll open it up so that other people can ask questions. One of my clients that I just signed up, I know one of the things that I've made them to do is get everybody's input in what I'm about to do with them, because they know the business more than I do. I'm not going with a solution mindset to help them. They know their business. They know what area they are lacking that the MD is not seeing. And because they don't have direct access to that MD, they cannot make this recommendation. So this is an open field where we can have discussion and be clear. So I'd like to ask, who has a question for Mrs. J? Raise your hand in the chat and I will unmute you, because this is the opportunity for you to get some good learning from her. What type of business are you doing? What are you struggling with? What would you like to know? Ask her directly. She would have answers for you. This woman is very savvy in terms of working with several SMEs if there are things that you need clarity on, how to communicate effectively. But for me, it starts with your content that you post online. Ask your staff, okay, what best way can we communicate with our customers? And I remember, you are the one making the money, bringing money in. They are the one that is actually doing the work. So they know what your customers need. And I think that's what Mrs. J is trying to focus on. Let's look inside. What can we do inside to be able to pivot our business? What kind of strategies, structures can we adopt? Where are our customers? Those customers that pay, where are they? How can we communicate with them? What channel? And those things will equally change the way you communicate with your customers. So Mrs. J, I don't know if there's anybody that on Zoom right now that has a question for her. Just raise your hand or just drop yes or something in the chat, then I can unmute you. You are welcome to ask a question directly. It's supposed to be an interactive session. It's not just us talking at you. We need you to speak to us. If you have things that you have done that you have succeeded, you can share for others to learn as well. So who is interested in asking Mrs. Jackson question? Anybody? Abiola, Anthony, Blessing, Bukola, oh, PM Craig, Lanre, oh, Grandeur, Martins. Sorry, does anybody have a question for Mrs. Jackson? And she'll be more than happy to shed some light. What are you struggling with? What area of communication? For me, I can give you some tips because I see certain caption on whether it's Instagram or LinkedIn, and the way people are writing messages to create awareness about their business is a challenge. Okay, you are allowed.
Abiola has a hand up.
Abiola, you're muted.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here this afternoon. So let me just go straight to the point. I'll start by introduction. I'm a personal trainer, a fitness coach, and also a travel consultant. So I started my own travel company 2 years ago. So I currently live in Abu Dhabi, UAE. So I think I didn't meet you, Mrs.
You were supposed to do my ticket, yes, exactly. When I went to the US, yeah.
Yeah, correct. So ever since then, I've been following you secretly. I'm one of your... So now my question is that recently I'm not a techie guy. I'm not the one with all this tech or something. So I got to know that there are ways like digital marketing you can use to advance your business, because now social media has taken everything right now. So I just want to know, for a beginner like me, I mean, what I've been Googling, I've been doing some research. So I just wanted to know, like, how do I go about it? Like, try to put my business on the internet. I mean, it's to spread it worldwide, because I could get clients from anywhere, any part of the world, as long as we communicate. So how do I do that? And secondly, how do I sell myself as a personal trainer? A lot of people here, they just go online, look for a coach to come and train them from their work or from their gym or from their house. So how do I get into that social media thing, internet thing too?
Okay, I will tell you first and foremost, go on my YouTube channel. There's a video that I did, ABCD of Instagram. Why I did that was to help a lot of people, because everybody's on social does not mean everybody's making money. I need you to be clear on this, because I'm going to mute you now, sorry. Everybody is on social media, but not everybody on social media is making money. And by the way, your industry has taken a major dent, the travel industry. What kind of messages can you start posting now in terms of how do you communicate with your customers so you still stay relevant? I'll give you a challenge. Go on Emirates Airline. I showed this during my last training. Emirates Airline, go and see the kind of content Emirates is posting. They are content of empathy to gain trust of people, so that when it's time for them to fly, they consider Emirates. The same strategy was adopted by the British Airways. So it doesn't matter the sector you have. Just find out, how do I best position myself? What kind of messaging? Certain things that people post online. In short, Africans, I've seen where we are killing ourselves. I've seen a lot of people with, and this guy, by the way, Mrs. Jackson, I never met him before. He was recommended when I needed to get a ticket. I was coming in from Canada. I'd gone US, Canada, London, US, Canada. I wanted to stop in Dubai and enter Dubai. And he was so diligent, he showed empathy. He was so concerned by delivering my service. The point I'm making is, that kind of effort that you put into your human connection, you need to make sure it is in your messaging on social media. You can start by, what kind of content are you putting on your WhatsApp status? As basic as WhatsApp is, there are two types of WhatsApp. There's WhatsApp business, there's WhatsApp ordinary. It's up to you. Go and watch that video, ABC of Instagram, and it will help. Then what kind of messaging, even in your posting context, the text, what kind of messaging will emote empathy, that people will say, oh, this guy is good. Oh, this guy is there. We need to do business. And when Mrs. J talked about LinkedIn, where I'm making money is LinkedIn, but I'm not making noise about it. Nobody will know. Instagram has not converted a dime for me, to be honest. What can put on Instagram? And it's unfortunate that a lot of Africans are not there, and it's a major miss that you're not on LinkedIn in terms of positioning yourself. I'm not just saying go and put your CV on LinkedIn. When I optimize people's LinkedIn, I use keywords. So for instance, they are looking for you, you come tops. When they are looking for people within that sphere of influence, you come top. Basically, you see keywords, when they say this, the words we speak is power and is life. It is
words
so
are
true.
Spirits.
Words are spirit is either the same thing for social media, for digital marketing. What you put online, it's equally powerful to connect with people, whether it's your staff, in your mail, your letter, whether it's your communicate internally, whether it's your communicate externally. So I will speak to that. I don't know, Mrs. J, if you have any other thing to add.
Yes, I even wanted to pick on his, he said he was also a personal trainer.
Yes.
Yeah, it hit him at two places. The travel agency and the fact that people go to the gym and we are all afraid to go to the gym. But my personal trainer trains me via Zoom and WhatsApp. So I haven't stopped training. I have my exercise every morning with my trainer. So we have this video thing on Zoom or WhatsApp, and I'm training, and I'm fine. And I'm making do with what I have, and we train, and I do this every hour. And what you can start sending messages about how it is important to keep your mental health intact, and how a sound body is found, a sound mind is found in a sound body, and the stress people are, and how exercise is a stress buster, and how you are ready to exercise people online to help people as a, and you won't believe this, Abiola. My trainer is training my daughter who is in the UK. But for Koro, as we say in Ghana, she would have gone to the gym outside in the UK. But he's earning money here in Ghana, training somebody who lives in the UK. Because he has been creative about it. I thought it was over. So I was going for my walks when he called to say, but we can do this online. I said, oh yes. Why didn't I even think about it? So it's a matter of brainstorming. It's a matter of the words you send out there, and then the videos you put on LinkedIn to show people, and you won't believe it. He will ask you, can I record it? And then he puts it on LinkedIn, he puts it on Facebook, and he's got other people to sign on.
Exactly. Because if you can sign up with him, they trust him enough to say yes. It's actually delivering value. And that's where we disconnect, because we're not leveraging word of mouth and we're not messaging ourselves. Even in the testimonials, I posted a testimonial today on my Insta handle. It's testimonial that I had how many months ago. So it's important, the kind of messaging that you're putting out. Does anybody else have any questions so that we can wrap up?
Because I need to, I'm sorry, I need to leave at in about 3 minutes.
Yes. If anybody else has any questions so that we can wrap up. But overall, let me just leave you this, my favorite quote. Yeah. I always say this, by Albert Einstein. The meaning of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. Don't wait after Corona and say, yes, that's when, oh, Craig, yes, you're muted. Don't wait after Corona to take initiative. Start today. What we are telling you is take action now. And that way you can change the trajectory of whatever you do. Toastmaster Craig, is over to you. Thank you for being on call.
Well, thank you most graciously, Toastmaster Mercy. I'd like to thank you and Mrs. Margaret for your enchanting insight. Mrs. Margaret, I know Mercy knows me already, but you don't know me. My name is Craig Esofode. I'm an English doctor. I deliver training programs on effective English communication and public speaking. I'd like to know how I can properly position myself now on social media in these times of extraordinary uncertainty and turbulence.
Mrs. J, you can answer him.
Yeah, Craig, I believe that for those of us who do facilitation, I think virtual classrooms. Yeah, virtual classrooms. And when you have a virtual classroom, you know, you will have students from all over the world. Now it doesn't limit you. It doesn't limit you. You can have teasers. I say our webinars are teasers into our virtual classes. So you organize a 1-hour webinar and you whet the appetite of the general populace. And when you are organizing an online course, people would love to attend. You know, I believe that coronavirus or COVID-19 has changed the way we even teach dramatically. And previously, when we ever spoke about virtual classrooms, people were, are you sure it will work? There are so many features. It can be very interactive. So interactive, you have no idea. And sometimes you sit in a virtual class and you're like, wow, I can't believe this is a virtual class. So I think that, and you can also communicate with us later. We will also help you because this is down my alley. We are using the webinars. We are sending out messages. For example, as soon as this happened and we developed our working at remotely, we had a policy and we put it on our website and we sent a message on Facebook, all our other handles, to say that if you need a policy on working remotely, we have developed one. So go look at it and tweak it to suit your peculiar needs. Mercy and Craig, you won't believe this. The number of organizations that went in, bigger than our organization, that went in there to look at it, to tweak it. We were driving traffic to our website and to what we do. So I believe that you can start with the 1-hour sessions, just like we're doing, and then introduce people to the virtual classrooms, and you will have classes for people all over the world.
And can I just recommend you go on my YouTube page, start with Instagram. And Toastmaster Craig, I know you are taking children. There's a lot of confusion right now because many children are home.
Yes.
I recommend send the webinar. Tell them you want to organize English classes for free. The first one, for free and get them, because by the time the school starts, the children and their parents are already familiar with CRED, that take the English doctor. And because you're good at what you do, because I know you are good at what you do, they will now, when it's time for them to get personal coaching for their children, it's you they will call.
Yes.
So I say send a Zoom link to school. I want to organize this. Zoom can take up to 100. It's free. You don't even have to use the paid version. Have the session for 30 minutes, because after 30 minutes, 35 minutes, it cuts you off. Have the session for 30 minutes, and that's it. Do the next day. And as you're doing, but make sure you go and watch the YouTube video on ABC of Instagram. Make sure it's on Instagram. Make sure you are using the correct filter to be able to promote yourself, and boom, you're in business. It's as simple as that.
And Mercy, I would say the webinars should be free, but the classes should be paid for.
Exactly.
Yeah. Your webinars are just like, you know, when people manufacture in the supermarkets, they say taste. So our webinars should be teasers that people come in to taste what you have. Then you say, yes, now aside webinars, I hold classes. And for classes, you pay. The children are at home, their parents are so worried.
They are bored.
And they're bored.
My daughter, my 4-year-old said, Mommy, I'm bored.
Yes, and they're bored. They just want, they want someone who will teach them in a creative way.
Exactly. And you are creative, Craig. You are. So leverage on what we have said. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for being on call today. This has been a very rewarding time. Mrs. Jackson, I'm so grateful. At least you won't say you didn't take something away from this session. I'm planning to bring someone from Nezal Microfinance to speak. I've started a conversation with her. Once she confirms, I'll be bringing them. And for me, the goal for me getting all these guests to actually impact, and please, when I share it for you on WhatsApp, wherever you find it, please share for others, because you don't know who is struggling. The goal for me for all this interview is to hear from people that have done it, that have gone through that journey. So you don't have to repeat it. Google is a maze. If you don't know what you're looking for on Google, you will spend unnecessary time. But if I'm telling you quick acts, quick fix for you to be able to scale, then you are good. If Mrs. Jackson, that has done this for a long time, tells you quick act of how she has been able to get customers from 80 despite here, how I've been able to get clients, I'm not just talking anyhow clients, even during this lockdown, I say there is opportunity for everybody. But please, one of the things that she said that is key for me is let's not exploit the situation.
No.
Because Africans were very good at exploiting situation, and it doesn't bring you return customers. Buy people's loyalty, give them something they need for free. They will remember you. Although we like free stuff, but just be strategic as much as you're doing free. Okay? For those in the travel industry, let me give you a quick teaser. Start looking for your client's birthday. Start making noise about them. Their anniversary, their children's birthday. Just be creative. Me, I'm very creative. So no matter where you put me, I will make money. Start thinking of how to, because Grandeur, you're here. Biola, you're here. Your clients, go into their database, go on their Facebook, go and check what are they celebrating. Is it their birthday, anniversary? Start being intentional. Position yourself.
And Mercy, I'm not cutting you short. Start sending messages, COVID-19 messages on how to stay safe. Remember to wash your hands, and it's there. We care about you. When the dust settles, we'll all be around to rejoice. So please, wear your PPP. You know, just these messages will keep you relevant.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Jackson. I'm grateful, Mama Mona. Thank you, everybody, for being on call. Unfortunately, we couldn't stream live, but I'll post it on Facebook once it's done. I appreciate you, Ma. Thank you.
I appreciate you too. Bye. Thank you.
Okay.